Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Fellowship Hall. We've got lots of guests here today, which is always nice. Spring weather. How'd you like the delays coming into Oak Hill? Plan for those are just going to get longer and longer in the next couple weeks, I learned. And with that, I know that I see Bob Whipple back here. You were not here last week when we thanked everybody for Stephen Covey's presence, so thank you. Thank you very much. And did everybody put their name in here for the drawing that we're going to do? Okay, wonderful. Well, with that, with no further ado, I want to get our meeting underway because we've got lots to hear today, and I know you're going to have lots of questions. So with that, I'm going to call this Rochester Rotary meeting to order. Please stand and remain standing because our wonderful, wonderful, wonderful reflector is back. So, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And here for today's reflection is past President Peter Kelderhouse, Rotarian since 1980.
Thank you, Madam President. Martin Luther King Jr. has said, "The time is always right to do what is right." At an early age in my life, a friend gave me the following poem, and it's been with me ever since, and has guided me in the good times and not in so good times. Today, I'd like to share it with you. When you get what you want in your struggle in life, and the world makes you king or queen for a day, go to the mirror, look at yourself, and see what that person has to say. For it's not your mother, nor father, nor sister, nor brother, whose judgment upon you must pass. For the verdict in your life is a person staring back from the glass. He or she is the person to please, never mind all the rest, because he or she is with you clear to the end. You have passed your most difficult test if the person in the mirror is your friend.
That's nice. Very nice. Nice to have you back. Okay, please be seated. Okay, here to introduce today's visiting Rotarians and guests is our Sergeant at Arms, Patty Phillips, President of Clarity. Oh my God, I live with this woman. I know, I live with this woman. Clarity Recruitment and Career Management in Rochester Rotarians in 2015. Sorry.
Thank you, President Kathleen, and good afternoon, fellow Rotarians and guests. Terrific. We have 6 guests to welcome today. Guests, we're going to ask that when I say your name, would you stand and remain standing until President Kathleen has a chance to greet the whole group. So we need our Rotary One clap to help us welcome the following. Please welcome Cameron Palmer, guest of Lydia Palmer. David Williams, guest of Bob Whipple. Michael DeMaria, guest of our speaker, Robin Flanigan. Don Osant, guest of Sean Osant. Beverly Howe, guest of Sean Osant. And Marvin Andrews, guest of Kimberly Barkley. Kathleen, I present our guests.
Wonderful. Welcome all, and thank you for being with us today. You are welcome to join us anytime, and even consider membership with us. Thank you, and you can be seated.
We have 3 announcements today. We have 2 opportunities for doing good work and good service, knowing all of us Rotarians believe in service above self. Both happen to be, it is this Saturday this time, the 29th. So, Help the Sunshine Camp, get ready for summer with our spring workday out at camp from 9 to noon. We'll feed you lunch at the end of the workday. You do not have to choose between family and work and doing something like this for Rotary. Bring family members out, hand them a rake. They're going to get bossed around. It's so nice to get bossed around sometimes, right? So make it a family day. It was a wonderful opportunity for new members to experience the camp, and it's a great community service opportunity for those of you that have kids or grandkids that need to get involved with community service, some of whom need to do it for school. So ask them. It might be a great chance to join. So that's this Saturday at noon. From 9 to noon. Also, we are still looking for 3 more volunteers this Saturday morning from 9:30 to 11 to help the International Service Committee. Doug Cook, who's leading this effort for us in the club participation in the Books for the World program. So you'll have an opportunity to pack books that are being shipped to areas of the world that need them. So there's more information that you can find on the website, and you can sign up for the camp cleanup on the website as well. Lastly, we have a return finally of our Rochester Rotary Career Day at our beloved school number 8. It has been missing for a couple of years due to COVID. It is back, new energy. It is May 19th, it's a Friday, morning, 9 to 11, couple of quick hours. As many participants where you can talk about your backgrounds, your careers as possible would be so welcome. So you can contact the co-chairs, Ann McKenna and Christine Johnson. Their contact information's in the Spoke 36, as well as, of course, on the Rotary website when you click on members. Did you know that? Click on members, and there's all of our phone numbers and emails for your viewing pleasure. So please consider joining May 19th at the Rochester Rotary Career Day. Lastly, birthdays. You ready? Rochester Rotary 1, clap as we wish a happy birthday to Vicki James on April 26th, Jennifer Wright on April 26th, Roland Williams on April 27th, Karen Galena on April 30th, joined by Beth Hartman on April 30th. Happy birthday to all. President Campbell.
Wonderful. So, now we have our news for the day with none other than our own Don Elhart, Associate News Director with WHAM 13, TV, past District Governor, past Club President, and a Rochester Rotarian since 1976. That is committed to memory, Don.
I ain't gonna say. 1976. I was reminded about how long ago that was yesterday in the newsroom. I told them I'm coming to Rotary to hear the author of 100 Things to Do in Rochester Before You Die. And they said, why would you want to go to that? You're probably up to 98 already. I said, you know, no respect to me. All right, taking a look at some of our headlines in the news today. As expected, President Biden formally announcing this morning that he will seek a re-election to the presidency. Some sad news for a lot of us music fans. Harry Belafonte passed away at the age of 96 because it was congestive heart failure. But not only known for his music, but of course his activism as well, bringing Nelson Mandela here years ago and working on a lot of political causes. Here's one I'm not sure we'll be following much in the news, but it just crossed my email a few minutes ago out of Buffalo. There's a proposal now for No Mow May. They're asking people not to mow your lawn during the month of May because it will help flowers and gardens grow. Don't ask me why, but it's a good excuse not to mow your lawn if you're looking for one. You can say what that is. All right, Wall Street right now, the Dow is off 150 points, the NASDAQ down 135, S&P off 35. Constellation Brands down $2, Xerox up $1.89. Tootsie Roll struggling today. I've got my socks on for Tootsie Roll, but we're still off 7 cents a share, looking for those Tootsie Roll bright spots if we can. Weather-wise, and I don't know about you, but I don't know what I drove through getting here today. I thought it was rain, then I thought it was snow, then I thought it was hail. I wasn't sure what it was. I knew I was going to do the valet parking though, because I wasn't going to walk through it. And now look, here the sun is out. We expect a high today, a slight chance of rain showers. I think we've already had that. Showers tomorrow, again 50. Mostly sunny though on Thursday, 58. Some rain on Friday, 60 degrees. Over the weekend, between 59 and 65 degrees. We look for rain on the weekend. And next Tuesday, when we meet again downtown, showers and 52 degrees. And finally, I don't usually share a thought for the day. I know you have one later, but I couldn't resist this one that came across the email this morning. Don't be mad at lazy people. They didn't do anything.
Okay, you know what? I thought I could do this without the glasses, but I can't. I'm like, oh, I don't want to do that. One thing if I just can't. Okay. So, let me tell you a little bit about Robin Flanigan. Robin is a national award-winning freelance journalist for magazines and newspapers. And in addition to her newest book, which we're going to learn about today, 100 Things to Do in Rochester Before You Die, she is also the author of a children's book, M is for Mindful. Robin was a beat reporter for 11 years in newsrooms, including the Rochester DNC. And her work has been published in People Magazine, AARP, USA Today, and Education Week. and her essays have appeared in The Sun, in other literary magazines, and anthologies. She has climbed to the top of Mount Kilimanjaro, and she was able to see the curvature of the earth at sunrise. Pretty cool. So Robin is going to share with us what went into compiling this book today, and her research that actually caught the attention of Ripley's Believe It or Not. So please extend a warm Rochester Rotary welcome to Robin Flanigan. Drawing for the book.
I'm really short.
You can pull that out if you want.
Okay. I think it's gonna fall over if I. Hello.
Hello.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it, and thanks for having such friendly faces. I really appreciate that too. And Don, I'm really glad you mentioned the title of this book. I want to share this real quick. I wasn't planning on it, but I was at Barnes & Noble for a signing on Saturday, and so many people talked about this word die. Sometimes they're not too happy about it. And this one couple was at the register, and the woman said, "Hey, let's get a copy of that book." And the guy looked at it and he went, "I don't want to die." And so they didn't buy it, but oh well. So thank you. I wanted to start with some trivia. I learned so many really cool things when doing research for this book. So the first thing is, raise your hand if you've ever heard of the Cary Graphic Arts Collection. 1, 2, 3. So it's at RIT. It's one of the world's premier centers for graphic communication history and practices. And they have a clay tablet there and I'm just curious if you can shout out, how old do you think that clay tablet is? How far back do you think it is? Let's hear some guesses.
4,000.
4,000? Well, it's 2100 BCE. It's a pretty long time ago. And then also, how many LPs do you think are at the Record Archive? It's the largest record collection in the Northeast. 8,000? 112,000? 200,000? The answer is 250,000. Yeah. And so one more, there's just so many oldest continuously operating things here in Rochester too. So we have the oldest independently operating independent movie theater, the Little, exactly. The oldest independently continuously operating miniature golf course. That's it. It's Whispering Pines. Towards Parkside's Whispering Pines, exactly. One of the oldest carousels in the country. Ontario Beach, 1905. The movie theater, by the way, 1929. Parkside Whispering Pines, 1930. So, I want to tell you a little bit about the book itself. People ask me how I came to write it. I was asked. Reedy Publishing is a publisher in St. Louis. They reached out to visit Rochester. They have over 150 titles around the country already published in this series. So 100 Things to Do in Syracuse Before You Die came out right before Rochester's. And so Visit Rochester gave them a couple names of writers, and they called and asked me. So all I had to do was say yes. I feel very, very blessed that I was asked, super fortunate. And despite the title, 100 Things to Do in Rochester Before You Die, there are actually more than 160 things in the book, and I'll give you an example of why. So this page, you'll see a lot of black boxes in here. So the 100 things are always this main entry right here, but sometimes there's more to say. So for example, on this page, it's about the Genesee Brew House, but we have this thriving craft beer scene. So I say, Rochester has a robust craft beer scene. Here are some draft picks. And then I mention, 6 or 7 right there. So it adds up very quickly. And it was very difficult to come up with, what are you going to include, what are you not going to include. People are obviously going to have their own opinions. Sometimes they might not like what I chose. My list was a lot longer than 100 originally. So I got advice from the woman who wrote the Syracuse book, and she said, pay attention to what's just super uniquely Rochester. For example, number 1 in here is the garbage plate, uniquely Rochester. And as an aside, there's no order to these 100. People say, why is this number 1? But I didn't come up with the order, just to let you know. So what's either uniquely Rochester, or has it gotten national attention or international attention? And I had no idea how many accolades Rochester had gotten. So as far as the attention goes, I profiled Good Smoke barbecue restaurant in East Rochester, and people have said, well, why didn't you profile Dinosaur? Well, I did put Dinosaur in a little black box, but Dinosaur's from Syracuse, and Good Smoke has earned over 600 national and international awards. So that's kind of went into it, the research that went into it. And here are some just other accolades that were surprising to me. So the Food Network, both Dinosaur and Simply Crepes restaurant has been mentioned by the Food Network, so they're both in there. Braddock Bay Bird Observatory has been on Science Friday on NPR. And the bar at Good Luck has been in Esquire magazine, and the list just goes on and on. And also, I wanted to think about all kinds of weather. We're in Rochester, after all. So there could be festivals and parks in the summer, and then in the winter, there's snowshoeing in Mendon Ponds Park. And what I didn't know, one of the things that's in the book that was new to me, is that national cross-country ski racers use those trails to train. And Rock Holiday Village, of course. I had, so here's, people always ask, did you do everything that's in the book? And now I can say yes, but I had to put Rock Holiday Village in the book before I actually went to Rock Holiday Village. But I had heard so much about it, and I have gone since, but the deadline was, I think, 2 months before it came out, and I'd always heard it was like a Hallmark movie. And so that's my boyfriend, Michael. He's going to say something in a little bit because he also took most of the pictures in the book, including the awesome cover. And so we went to Rock Holiday Village, and I literally started crying because I did feel like I was in a Hallmark movie. So Rochester's just awesome. And so I thought about also who could use it. So families and on dates and out of town guests. So there was a lot to choose from. And the overarching theme for me, though, was I wanted a mixture of the obvious and the obscure. So obviously, you're going to put the Eastman Museum, the Strong Museum, International Jazz Festival, the Lilac Festival, things like that. But I wanted to do some more obscure things, and I'm just going to, this is not like a traditional reading. When I came out with M is for Mindful, I sat down and read through the book. This is not the same thing, but, and I did write that even though my author picture has me with brown hair. It really is me, so page 44. So this is one example of what's in the book. Meditate to music from across the ages at Compline. Contemplative, ethereal, the sacred music performed by the Christ Church Schola Cantorum pays homage to Compline, the 4th century monastic custom of private prayer and devotion before bedtime. For 30 minutes, listeners in candlelit pews are treated to Gregorian chant, Renaissance and Baroque choral music, and choral improvisation by an acclaimed vocal ensemble at downtown's Gothic Revival-style Christ Church. Rochester Compline is at 9 p.m. on Sunday nights from October through April to accommodate the academic calendar, since many of the musicians are Eastman School of Music students. An ancient practice that has withstood the test of time, this is a modern musical meditation like no other. Admission is free, donations are appreciated. And then every entry has the address, the phone number, and the website. And then there are tips too, but I will stop reading. And I had, a lot of people talk about the not so secret sidewalk. That's in there too. I don't know, I was on Spectrum News this morning and we did filming there. And I don't know if you got a chance to see that, but just know that it doesn't look like the weather was awful. I scheduled it the week before when it was 80s all week, and she said, where do you want to meet for the interview? And I thought of the secret sidewalk, but during filming it was raining and cloudy and cold, but it's still a great place to go if you haven't been. And I learned a lot of fun things. So Richardson's Canal House used to be a brothel and a nudist colony. And house parts on South Ave. Yes?
Where's the not so secret
sidewalk? It is a few blocks from Ontario Beach Park, and it's a little city-owned strip by Lake Ontario, so you're still allowed to go.
That's why I see.
Yeah, and so, and then his historic house parts on South Ave. It's like architectural salvage, but it's also house parts to the stars. So in one of the Smurfs movies, the toilet that a Smurf got flushed down came from house parts, and the chandelier that fell on Liz Lemon's head in 30 Rock came from house parts, and it's just lots of fun little things. So my favorite story, I don't know how much time I have left, but I really want to tell this story. Okay, so the Fairport Lift Bridge is in the book. There's nothing else like it in the world because of the incline it's on. And I'm a journalist, so as I'm doing research to find out what to put in the book, I find out from reading things that there are a couple sites said that it had been in Ripley's, believe it or not, 16 times. And then another site said it's allegedly appeared in Ripley's, and another site said it's been in Ripley's several times. So I didn't know what to say about it, and I also had to verify it. So I got in touch with Ripley's, and they said, we've never heard of it. So they checked their computer, their current computer system, they checked their files, got back to me, we still have never heard of it. So, but they said, now that we have heard of it, so then I was like, well, that's a bummer, because I wanted to put it in my book. And they said, well, now that we have heard of it, we're gonna make it the cover cartoon, like our lead cartoon on September 15th, 2022, which is right here. And because they did that, I was able to put in my book that they were in Ripley's, believe it or not. So that's my favorite story. And just a couple behind the scenes things. I had a lot of rules for putting this together. Every single entry, according to the publisher, had to start with a verb, and there's only so many times you can say discover or explore. So that was really hard, and I'm just really anal about it, so I just didn't want to repeat at all. And then also it helps to have a friend who was a former New York Times editor look over your manuscript, because there's a store in the South Wedge called Little Button Crafts, and I wrote that they consciously curated their merchandise. And she just, in her notes, she was like, well, I hope she was conscious when she curated it. So she changed it to conscientiously. So just, little stuff like that. And then, I will be doing a Q&A for sure, but I wanted Michael to share with you some behind the scenes pieces of information that went behind the cover story in particular, and anything else he wants to share. So this is Michael DiMaria.
So we didn't have just the short stories. We didn't have a lot of time to put some pictures together. We had a deadline coming up. There were delays before that, and we talked about what some of the pictures we wanted in the book. Decided that we would do the quintessential Rochester downtown shot for the cover, of course. So we went downtown to scope it out, and the bridge, the 490 bridge, was completely dark. It wasn't lit up at all, and a lot of the buildings were dark. And I watched it for a couple nights. The bridge lights didn't come on, so I started making some calls. I called the city. They told me to call the county. The county told me to call the city. They told me, nope, you got to call the county. I said, well, it's 490. Maybe it's the state. So the road is lit up. There's lights lighting up the roadway as you're driving, but the actual, the arch of it used to be bright white. You've probably all seen pictures of it where it's lit up really bright white. So finally I got a hold of somebody, I can't remember now if it was the city or the county, who said, I talked to so many people, who said, yeah, a couple of the lights have burnt out. So instead of changing them, they just decided to shut all of them off. And now the bridge is dark, right? And I said, well, can we get at least the lights that are working turned on? He said, no, but maybe in 2023 or 2024, we'll run a project where we'll replace the lights and turn the bridge back on. So I even considered having a friend with a drone with a really bright light fly around and light up the bridge while I left the shutter open on the camera to get it, but ended up just lightening it. It was really dark, and I lightened it as much as possible in post-production, like in Photoshop, just so you could see it. Also, as some of you might know, Buckingham Properties runs a program called Lights on Rochester, and there's, I don't know, between 7 and 10 buildings that coordinate and light up various colors. They usually do it for special awareness, things like various cancer awareness or Holocaust remembrance awareness days. They specifically say that they don't do it for small requests. They won't do it for birthdays or things like that. But I called them and I said, you know, we're doing this book, this cover shot, it's for Rochester, it's about Rochester. And they said, sure, we'll turn some lights on. We had less than 24 hours notice and there was bad weather coming. So not all of the 7 to 10 buildings got the memo, but a couple did. We chose purple. We didn't actually know yet from the publisher what the background color would be. So we both like purple, so we chose purple. And a couple of the buildings lit up purple. So at least we got some color in there. Between that and some photoshopping where you can see the bridge, we ended up with that.
Very cool.
Okay, so just lastly, I want to let you guys know that what I'm doing now, besides just promoting that I have the book, is I've been partnering with real estate agents who are using the book as closing gifts. And I'd like to also talk with mortgage brokers or relocation people, or any ideas you have. I would love to hear them. I also would love to partner with businesses to use it for recruitment and retention, and also higher ed to welcome new students. So if anybody has connections or ideas, I would love to hear them. And the website is right there, but it's 100thingsinrochester.com that has my events that are coming up. So thank you. Do you have any questions? Yes.
Thank you. This looks interesting. I want to look through the book. But my question is, how far did you go? Like, I'm assuming you included the suburbs of Rochester, but did you continue on beyond that, like even as far as Letchworth Park, or you didn't go that far?
That's a really good question. Yeah, I have, the farthest out I went was, I did mention Letchworth because it's the Grand Canyon of the East and a quick drive, so I felt like I had to. Herd Orchards is in there, and the Genesee Country Village Museum and Ganondagan, and in the Jello Museum in Leroy. Yeah.
That's good. Have you reached out, you mentioned colleges and universities, have you reached out to any yourself?
So far, because I'm only in the first weeks of this even being out and it's been really busy, so far I've talked to people I know who work there, but nothing formal.
I work at RIT, so I'm happy to get your info.
So Bob, no, I've talked to Bob Finnerty about it, do you know?
Right level.
So I'm at the right level, okay. Right, thank you. I still would love to talk with you though, more about it. Thank you. Yes, you were first.
I'd imagine everybody and their brother has come out with the thing that should have been in the book and isn't, right? Since the minute you published it, is there, what would be your like, oh, if I had one more, I would have put that in?
I'm hesitating because it came up earlier today in a conversation, and now I can't remember. It was, you were talking about it. Oh, you know what? I'm spacing on it. I don't.
It'll come to you.
It will come to me.
After you answer Megan's question, it's going to come to you.
Yeah, I'll get back to you on that one.
So small businesses that are in Rochester that have been around for years and generations. Some of them are no longer in operation, like Hagedorn's is coming to mind, and you know, a few other small ones. Are there any that are mentioned in your book that are likely not going to be around next year?
That hasn't happened yet, but I almost put 11th Hour in the book, and they just went out of business. But funny enough, the only reason I didn't put 11th Hour in is actually what I was talking about before, where this whole uniquely Rochester or national or international, and that kind of weeded people, people out, but that almost happened. And if it does happen, so this is only the first printing. They printed 2,000 of these books, and as soon as they go to a second printing, I can make any changes that I want. And I know we're over 1,300 so far that have been sold, so hopefully that won't take too long.
The Red Wing Stadium name change.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's huge. You're gonna see it. It's gonna look like a mistake, but it's not a mistake. But it's wrong. Frontier Field. It still says Red Wings. It says Frontier Field because of when I had to turn in the manuscript, and Dan Mason approved it. So that's what it was at the time. So that will be changed for sure. For sure.
Where is it available?
So either through me, if you're around and I'm around and we're at an event, or any bookstore, Writers and Books, Barnes and Noble, Another Chapter, I know that they all have it in stock right now. And and then Ars Market has it in stock right now.
On the website?
They can't, I don't do fulfillment at this point. I might someday, but yeah, not yet. Mm-hmm.
With the uncertain deadline you've posed in the title, I'm wondering if you could give us some sort of idea of how long it would take to do these things.
That's a really good question. It's a really good question. I don't know, I feel like I should start a contest so we can get that answer.
That's great.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a good question. But I think you could do it in a year, right? A year or less, for sure. Well, you can't because of like Rock Holiday Village, for example, wouldn't be there, or the International Jazz Festival. It would depend on timing. So I would say in a year. That's a safe answer. Yes.
Writing this book, what did you learn about Rochester that you didn't know?
Yeah, a lot of these little facts. So in addition to Compline, I also didn't know about the Hopman Carillon series at the U of R. So the Carillon bells are at the top of the tower there at the library, and you go and people from all over the world come and have a concert on Wednesdays for free in the summer, and you can just go lie out on the quad and listen, and that's just absolutely gorgeous. I had no idea. And then all of these, like I said before, the accolades, I just had no idea how much attention Rochester gets. And I was on Connections with Evan Dawson on Friday, and the whole theme was just about how we underestimate what Rochester has to offer. And even though I didn't necessarily underestimate it, because in 3 years I will have spent half my life here, but I'm not a local, so I feel like maybe I'm more of a cheerleader than a lot of people would be. But I still came away loving Rochester even more than I did before.
You mentioned some connection with Visit Rochester.
Mm-hmm.
When you spoke earlier.
Mm-hmm.
We have like 400 odd merchant and lender members, and I don't know whether you had discussed that as a potential outlet.
Yes, I actually became a member so that I could have access to all of those people and their events, and it's been very helpful so far, actually.
Did you think about putting the Rochester Rotary Sunshine Camp in there?
Oh, I'm so glad you said that, because I wanted to mention that on my notes and I glossed right over it. Another thing I do aside from partnering with people is that if I align with an organization that wants to do a fundraiser and involve the book, I donate 20% of sales to that organization. And so I didn't know if the camp was one way to do that, but I just wanted to offer that as well.
So you can make revisions, and I'm just curious if, presumably you could write the next 100 things in writing.
No, thank you.
Take a while.
Is there a health course in the book?
There is not. No.
Right here.
Right, I know. Anybody else?
How long were you working on it again? How long did it take to pull all that together?
Yeah, so months and months and months and months and months. There was a little hiccup in that process. The book was supposed to come out last fall. I'm actually very happy that it came out in the spring. It's a really good time to have it come out. But about halfway through my reporting, I was in a car accident and had a concussion and was out of work for a while. And so it got put on hold for quite a bit. And so that's why it's out now. So it's hard for me to remember. It's kind of like the COVID's the before times. It's kind of hard for me to remember like the before car accident research. But even after that, it was a lot. And then August of 2022, I spent almost every day. So I'm a freelance journalist. I didn't work on anything other than this. It was about 14 to 16-hour days, 7 days a week. It was a lot of work. And this is true journalism. I turned it in 3 hours before the deadline. I know. Anybody else? Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
So, everybody, this is a book. I'm going to leave it up here right now. But we have our partnership that you may have heard of with School Number 8, Roberto Clemente School Number 8. We've had a partnership with them for almost 30 years. And we work with kids kindergarten through college. And so we, for years, have a tradition where we take a book and we will put it in the library after you sign it with a message. And this goes in the library for kids to read, and they will take out books sometimes based on the message.
That's
in the
awesome.
book. Yes, so we'll have sign that. And then in addition, out at Sunshine Camp, you've never been, you know I've never been, we'll get you out there. We tap the trees, and this is some of the fresh syrup that came from this year's field. And it's filled with sunshine.
Oh,
So just for you.
that's
Okay?
great. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome. So that said, hold on, we're gonna do the drawing.
We're gonna give away some books.
Okay. So, I will stir them up. Okay.
Okay.
All right, Robin.
I'll close my Dolly Malik.
You're gonna sign that for her, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sign it, but do you want me?
Okay, there you go.
Don Assent.
Thank you, everybody. All right.
Thank you so much.
There you go, Don. Wonderful. Just a couple more things. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, that's right. Patty, why don't you get back up here? Yeah.
There's syrup for sale out in the lobby. This is $20, which is the best bargain in town if you ask me based on the size and how expensive it is. Then there's a smaller one for $10, so grab it while it's here.
Okay. So just a few things here. So Don had mentioned it before, but next Tuesday is our annual law day. And what's unique about that program, which we've been doing for a long time, is that not only will we be honoring an RPD officer with the annual Henry Jensen Award, but we've actually expanded our ceremony this year. And we're going to have the inaugural Above and Beyond Service Award, which actually is where we'll be honoring a law enforcement officer that comes from a surrounding town, city, or county area. So that'll bring a lot more people into the room, and we'll do some remembrances, color guard and whatnot, and so it'd be nice if all of you could make your way downtown next Tuesday. And then the following Tuesday is our final Made in Rochester program for my year, and that will be with Rochester Music Hall of Fame inductee Michael Lycona, I think. And he is the founder, owner, and president of Whirlwind Music Distributors, and what a story that is. And so I hope you're all here for that one on May 9th. And then you might remember
Locust.
no glasses. Locust Hill, everybody. See, that's why we were okay. Now, you might remember last week when we had, we learned about Jazz Fest. Mark and John were kind enough to donate 2 9-day jazz passes. And if you saw your spoke, we had a link in there, and what they would like us to do to know that the proceeds are going to the Sunshine Camp is we are going to raffle off these 2 passes. And the Jazz Fest will be June 23rd through July 1st. The cost is $20 per entry, or you can buy 6 for $100, and your name will go in there, and then we will do the raffle drawing at 4 p.m. on May 31st. But those passes are each worth almost $300 each. So quite a deal, and good for the camp. So, Rich, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Did we get an update from our connection at who's we're supporting with Sudan? Did we find out whether or not our Rotarians were able to evacuate?
No, I have not.
Okay, I know. A couple weeks ago at the office, we had we distributed checks to 2 of our service projects, and one of them is where we donated, I think, $5,000, and we helped them to build water wells in South Sudan. And so, you know, with everything that's in the news, I just want to make sure that everybody is getting out that needs to. So with that, thought for the day. 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things that you didn't do than the things that you did. So get busy on that book. Mark Twain. Meeting adjourned.